Okay, let's begin, shall we? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Misled Youth Podcast, episode 4.
Episode 4, indeed. My name is Jack.
And I am Alex, and we're going to start off this week by going over the description of last week's video.
Yeah.
Jack, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So, there has been an established tradition over the past 4 episodes that on the occasion that Alex and I make mistakes, because we
3
don't...
episodes, by the way.
This is the 4th episode, so by the time this goes out, this will be the 4th episode.
Yeah,
it counts.
That's
sure.
not how counting works.
Okay. So, over the history of the show, its long and illustrious 4-week history, there has been a tradition where when either one of us makes a mistake, we will correct it on screen, on YouTube.
Or if you want to point out Phil Taylor.
Or if we want to do hashtag Phil Taylor.
Yeah. We've used Rainbow Bauhaus 93.
Because Bauhaus 93 is a wonderful font.
It's a great font. I love it.
This is inspired by Matt and Tom on the park bench, who do Rainbow Comic Sans to correct
themselves. We're just a rip-off of them, really.
I mean, we're very similar to them, and we thought we quite like Rainbow corrections, but we don't want to rip them off wholesale.
So we went with my favourite font instead of theirs.
Yeah, I do like Comic Sans. If they didn't use it, then we'd have used it, probably.
No, I hate Comic Sans.
I love Comic
Sans. I hate it so much. Anyway, last week, Jack, when editing the video, forgot to change the font from Arial to Comic Sans.
Yeah.
So, this week, let's hope that we can make sure that we change the font.
Hey, Jack, in the future, when editing this, did you change the font this week?
Get on with it, if you didn't. Anyway, topic number 1. We're going to bring the mood down.
Yeah.
Because there has been a mass shooting in the US. Again.
With last week, when the Oxfam stuff happened,
yeah,
we said we didn't want to talk about it.
Because we didn't have enough information,
yeah.
And it wasn't a topic that either of us could speak about very knowledgeably.
Yes. It wasn't an issue of this terrible thing has happened and we don't want to talk about it. This time...
a terrible thing has happened and we do want to talk about it because we actually know what's happened.
I think it's less that we want to talk about it, we kind of have
to talk about it because it's huge news.
Yeah. And given our general political leanings, it's probably important that we say something about it.
Yeah.
It's important for us doing this podcast, even if it's just for us to think, okay, we said something about that.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I found myself agreeing with Piers Morgan.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often.
No.
But we both agreed with Piers Morgan.
So, in any case, there's been another mass shooting in the United States of America.
Not just any mass shooting, a school shooting.
A school shooting.
To go along with the 200 or so that they've had recently.
Yeah,
It seems like pretty much every week or so there is another minor news story about a shooting in the US.
Yeah.
Because they have them all the time.
And the reason for that is
because they have stupid gun laws.
Yeah. They have atrocious gun laws.
They have no gun laws, basically.
There are some.
There are some, but they don't work.
No.
And they don't help. You had 8 years of Obama pleading with Congress and with the Republicans to do something about guns. Every single time there was a shooting, you would have to go out and make a speech, and you could see how much it was tearing them up inside.
Just progressively on each. I think there's a YouTube video with all of them on somewhere.
Probably.
If there is, I'll link it in the description.
Be prepared for some Rainbow Bauhaus.
Yeah, be prepared for some Rainbow Bauhaus. If
or
there
Rainbow
isn't.
Arial.
It won't be Rainbow Arial, okay? But no, I will. If I can find that video, I will link it in the description because it's quite harrowing to see the progression.
Yeah,
in his
from
speeches.
The fresh-faced 47-year-old saying, "Come on, guys, we need to do something about this. This is a tragedy and it's horrible, and we can't just offer thoughts and prayers like we always do."
Well, no, we haven't. Trump hasn't offered thoughts and prayers.
No, he just offered prayers.
Yeah,
because he doesn't have any thoughts to offer.
He forgot to think. But
has he ever thought? Trump's too easy a target. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna make fun of Trump.
I mean, I did my wonderful Trump impression last week.
Yeah, but he's too easy to make fun
No,
of.
yeah.
And we're not making fun of anyone in this particular segment because
it's
a tragedy.
Yeah. But the thing is, in this country, we had a mass shooting.
We had Dunblane.
We had a shooting in a school in Dunblane in '96.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a handgun shooting, and within a year, Parliament had passed a law to ban handguns. You cannot own a handgun in the UK.
No.
Rainbow Bar House is an exception to that.
I mean, there are indeed various exceptions to that with police officers and various other things. But as a general rule, I cannot own a handgun.
No, we can't own small pistols.
Yeah. Dunblane happened, and we banned handguns.
Yes. Then Hungerford happened, where a guy with clear mental illness problems shot up a whole town, really.
Essentially.
Yeah, he went on a shooting spree, and then we restricted gun laws further.
Yeah.
Because that's the right thing to do. And since then, we haven't had a mass shooting.
No.
We've had terrorist attacks.
We've had many, many terrorist attacks.
Yeah, we've had several. But they're not the same.
No. Because people who want to kill other people cannot just go to Tesco, other supermarkets are available, and purchase an AR-15 assault rifle.
AR-15s, by the way, the overwhelming weapon of choice for mass shooters.
Yeah, I shared a photo the other day that showed the last sort of 5 major school shootings, and all of them AR-15s.
Yeah. All the main rifles and stuff, they're widely available in America, and there is very little that you have to be able to do in order to get a gun.
Does it vary state to state? I feel like it does.
It might do, yeah.
Rainbow Bar House, if it doesn't, but I'm pretty sure there are various states where it's really easy to get a gun.
Yeah, if you just turn up at a show, a gun show with a bunch of guns on show, you will be able to just buy one straight away without any background checks or anything.
Yeah, which is appalling.
Yeah,
absolutely appalling.
I'm going to find some statistics.
Yeah, so while Alex looks for some statistics in America, I'm going to talk a little bit about a country whose gun laws I admire. That isn't the UK. My personal preference would be to follow the UK model. However, there is a small country called Japan. Now,
small as in 127 million people.
Yes, I was exaggerating for comic effect, which is probably a useless thing to do in this context. But Japan has wonderful gun laws, and there is an excellent YouTube video by a creator that I can't remember that I will also link in the description, explaining Japan's gun laws. Essentially, Japan say if you would like to own a gun, that is fine. However, it is very difficult for a would-be mass shooter to get their hands on a gun because of the intense checks and tests that you have to pass in order to do it. So, from memory, you have to pass a written gun safety exam, you have to pass a mental health exam, you have to pass a shooting range test, and comprehensive background checks to ensure that you don't have any sort of outstanding opinions that might lead you to commit a mass shooting. You also have to keep the gun and the ammo stored separately, and you're subject to yearly inspections by the police. So Japan has less shootings than the UK.
Yeah, it has way, way fewer shootings than pretty much anywhere else, because it has about 10 people or fewer die every year due to gun violence. Usually
it's in single figures compared to, is it 33,000?
Yeah, it's usually around 30,000 for the US. In 2015, firearms were used to kill 13,286 people in the US, excluding suicide. In 2012, there were 8,855 total firearm-related homicides in the US, with 6,371 of those attributed to handguns. In 2012, 64% of all gun-related deaths in the US were suicides. It's generally around about 33,000 a year that die in the US because of guns.
Yeah.
And I just want to address one little soundbite argument.
Okay.
That often right-wing Americans will use to dismiss all this.
Yeah.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
With guns.
People with guns kill people.
Of course, people with various other weapons kill people.
Yes, but it's really difficult to kill 30 people with one knife.
Yes. Guns enable the mass killing of a lot of
innocent people who can't defend themselves against it.
So we had the bridge attacks in London.
Yeah.
That was with a knife.
Yeah.
That killed... If that guy had had a gun...
If that guy had had a gun, it would have been 100 deaths, easily.
Yeah. And the other one is sort of, you can't infringe on my right to bear arms and... Look.
You don't have a right to bear arms.
No,
You've
okay.
made that right up.
Okay, no.
America made that right up.
Fair. Alright, the Constitution allows US citizens to own a gun. When that act was written... Think about what the guns were.
It was about state militias as well. It wasn't about individual people. You can see that if you read it.
Yes. Also, think about what the guns were. You essentially had muskets.
Yeah. You had... Well, it was a bit more advanced than muskets, but it was still very difficult.
You could kill about one person in a minute with a gun.
Yeah,
it was a self-defense thing.
Yeah.
Okay?
And the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed is only half of that amendment.
Yeah.
So if I just get the text of the Second Amendment up...
But my point here is the advancement in technology has meant that guns have gone from a self-defense thing, if someone runs at you, you are able to subdue them, to, oh, okay, now we have machine guns, now we have AR-15 assault rifles that are routinely the weapon of choice for mass slaughterings of innocent people.
Yeah. Would you like to know what the first 4 words of the Second Amendment are?
I would. I certainly would.
A well-regulated militia.
The
full text, by the way. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, this is 1700s writing. So, what this means is a well-regulated militia is necessary to the security of a free state. And so, the right of the people, as a collective, to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, if you want to overthrow the government because it's being tyrannical, which the US has never done since 1776, then you can form a militia, arm yourselves, and overthrow it.
Yeah.
This does not give you license to just go around and massacre innocent people.
No.
This does not give you license to have your own gun, your own personal gun, in my view. Of course, the US Supreme Court disagrees, but that's because it's full of right-wingers.
I mean, the entire Constitution in various places is very vague, and it's arguably written deliberately.
Yes, it is deliberately vague in some places.
Yeah. But having said that, obviously the Supreme Court have decided that means every American is entitled to a gun.
And they still refuse to even limit the guns.
Yeah.
They won't get rid of particularly excessive force guns like AR-15s.
Yeah.
They won't strengthen background checks to make sure that people like the shooter in Parkland, Florida, can't get a gun. Because
what I saw from an American friend of mine who is a very good friend of mine, and whom I very much respect, posted that obviously this shooter had severe mental issues.
Yes.
So what we need to do is not be talking about guns, we need to be talking about mental health issues in America. Now, yes, we do need to talk about mental health issues in America. Namely, we don't let people with mental health issues have guns.
Yeah. Those two issues are not mutually exclusive.
No.
You can have two conversations at the same time.
Of course, we definitely do need to talk about mental health in America.
Yeah, mental health in America is not taken seriously enough.
No.
But neither are guns.
Neither are guns. And I think we need to have a conversation about mental health in the wider world, even in the UK. I know from experience it's very hard to get NHS time devoted to mental health. And it's, I imagine, even worse in America because of...
They don't have an NHS.
Yes, because they don't have an NHS. Thoughts on that
Yes,
are pretty clear.
I think let's move on to America as a wider whole, because
Alex has several issues with America.
I have so many issues with America because they are the most powerful democracy in the world.
Yeah.
But there's so much wrong with them. Like, they're a defective democracy. There's not just their gun laws, but they are held captive by extreme right-wing positions on a lot of issues. For example, how they fund their elections. I mean, we know from yesterday that their elections are not particularly democratic because 13 Russians were charged for interfering in them.
Yeah, stupid Watergate continues.
Link to John Oliver.
To John Oliver in the description here.
If it even works in the UK, I can never get it.
No, I think it does. I'm sure I've seen stupid Watergate on YouTube.
Yeah. So there's the interference of the Russians. There's also the interference of very, very rich people in their elections. And I mean, it's not just interference. They're basically the only people that can run.
Yeah.
If you're poor in America, you can't run for election because you need a lot of money to run for election.
Less the actual admin costs, you then need to run a campaign.
Yeah. And running a campaign is expensive. And you can only do it without the support of very rich people if you're Donald Trump.
Yes.
Who is a very rich person.
Yeah. Which is I find very annoying, because if Trump was not a morally reprehensible human being, he could have run an incredibly good campaign talking about issues that every other politician can't talk about. Because for years politicians have been in the pockets of groups like the NRA.
The NRA, Big Pharma, that's the lobbying groups for medical companies. Yeah. There are also representatives of anti-abortion groups.
Because if you had someone like Trump but without his views, so someone who had their own...
If you had Donald Trump's money and Bernie Sanders...
Yes.
America might be a functioning country now.
Because then you have somebody who can fund their own campaign, so doesn't have to take the donations from these reprehensible organisations that fund all these campaigns. Because what they can do is they can say, right, well, we'll give money to both sides, so neither side will talk about gun laws, neither side will talk about abortion.
Yeah, do you know who used to give money to both sides quite a lot?
Go on.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He went to Hillary Clinton's wedding.
He did.
In fact, no, didn't she go to his wedding as well?
Rainbow Bar House.
We'll look that up later.
Yeah.
But yeah, America is also held captive to right-wing positions, not just because of their money situations. There's a lot of shady money that goes into US elections, but also because of one guy in like the 50s, a guy called Senator Joseph McCarthy, who decided that a lot of America was too far left and they were all communists and they needed to die.
Here comes my GCSE in history.
Yeah. He had a list of people in Hollywood and public life who were communists.
Dirty, filthy commies.
Including Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin, that dirty commie.
Oh, he's evil. I hate Charlie Chaplin. Yeah.
I like Charlie. Charlie Chaplin's wonderful.
I don't have opinions on Charlie Chaplin.
I'm a drama student. I have opinions on Charlie Chaplin.
Fair enough. Yeah, Joseph McCarthy was responsible for the Red Scare, in which a lot of Americans got very scared of communists that didn't actually exist.
Yeah.
And since then, there has been no left wing in America.
No. I mean, there
is a left wing, but it's not very well represented.
No, there was a resurgence in the last election with Sanders.
Yeah, Sanders decided to run as, like, what we would call a centre-left politician in this country.
Yeah.
He ran on a national health service, getting money out of politics, and not taking contributions from very rich people. And a $15 minimum wage.
What does that work out as in?
$15 probably about a £10 wage.
Which
so
is...
It's a living wage.
Yeah.
Really.
So he'd fit right in about the centre of the Labour Party.
Yeah, he'd probably be a consensus candidate for Labour.
Yeah.
He'd just be... the sort of person that the left could go, yeah, all right, he's fine, he's okay.
I'm trying to think of an example.
He's a sort of Ed Miliband.
Yeah,
really. I would be fine with Ed Miliband.
I've met Ed Miliband. Selfie of me with Ed Miliband.
Yeah, there's Jack's selfie with Ed Miliband.
There's a story there. I'm going to tell it.
Go ahead.
So I met Ed Miliband when I was campaigning on the EU referendum. And I had a little brainwave before I met him. I was like, what's the most outrageous thing I could ask him to sign? So during the 2015 general election, there was a movement called the Milifandom, who were mostly teenagers.
I could never understand the Milifandom.
No, but who were basically treating Ed Miliband as this kind of like sex symbol, basically. So during that time, many images were produced, photoshopping Ed Miliband into various things. So there was one of him as Superman, and various others. There was also there was a horrible sexist campaign by a company years ago, saying, "Are you beach body ready?" And it had like a woman in lingerie and all this horrible stuff. So there was a Photoshop version done with Ed Miliband in a pair of boxer shorts that said, "Are you election ready?" So I thought, oh, I have an incredible chance here.
Oh God!
So I presented Mr. Miliband with this picture on a printout and a Sharpie, and asked him very nicely if he wouldn't mind signing it for me. Yeah, he signed the back of it for me. Respect level for Ed Miliband went incredibly up there.
I do respect.
There are pictures of the printout and of his signature on it alongside this video, because it's one of the proudest moments of my life.
I'm sure it's one of the proudest moments of Ed Miliband's life as well.
I'm not sure he remembers it.
Probably not. I bet he's never told his wife about it.
No, because I would have preferred him to have signed the front of it.
Yeah.
But he kind of refused to sign the front of it because he thought his wife may have a thing or two to say, which is fair enough. So he agreed to sign the back of it for me, which I will be eternally grateful for. We got here on a tangent, didn't we?
Anyway, back to America. They have a left wing now. There are several laudable groups trying to take back the sort of control of American politics from the far right, where it currently is. It's like the Democrats in America are centre right, generally.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm really annoyed at people saying that Hillary Clinton would have been a great president.
No,
because she wouldn't have been.
Had I been in America and been of voting age, I would have voted for Hillary Clinton.
I would not. Well, it depends on what state I was in.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Generally, I would have voted for Hillary Clinton. Not because I like her, because the alternative was Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Which
there are people trying to get rid of this lesser of two evils sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't like the lesser of two evils thing. I think it's a horrible situation to be in.
It's a trap.
But
Admiral Akbar, I mean.
Oh God. Yeah, but given the Americans' electoral system, which is worse than ours,
somehow,
we've had various opinions on this podcast about the British voting system, but the American one is worse. I think that the lesser of two evils argument massively comes into it there, just purely because of the way the system works. So therefore, with a heavy heart and sort of not wanting to look, I would have probably voted for Hillary Clinton.
It depends on what state I was in. If I was in a solid red or blue state,
yeah.
If there was no chance that I would affect the result, I would have gone with Jill Stein.
Fair enough.
Because she was the furthest left candidate that there was.
Yeah. Really,
that I'd heard of. I mean, she's an absolute nutcase, Jill Stein. I dislike her, but she was the lesser of four evils, really.
Yeah.
If you include Gary Johnson, the Libertarian, as well.
What's Aleppo?
What is Aleppo? Are you serious? What is Aleppo? How can you not know what Aleppo is?
You're running for office, Gary.
How can you not know what a left vote is?
Anyway, issues with
if
with
I was
presidential candidates aside.
If I was in a swing state, if I was in, say, Virginia, if I was in Michigan, I would have voted for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Because it's the same reason why I would vote for Theresa May over Nigel Farage. Because, yeah, she's horrible, but she's at least not him.
Yeah. I was going to say I'd have less issues with voting for Theresa May, but actually comparing the two of them,
they're very similar.
They are actually very similar.
And people who think that Hillary Clinton is some sort of left-wing hero,
no,
she's not.
No,
she came around on gay marriage in 2013.
I'm not entirely
something
sure.
Like that.
Rainbow Bauhaus.
Yeah, I think it was 2013. There are several video clips of speeches that she
in fact,
made.
I'm pretty sure Theresa May came around on gay marriage earlier than...
Yeah, probably, yeah. She definitely did earlier than Tim Farron.
Well, thoughts?
We'll ignore Tim Farron for now.
I mean, we've been ignoring Tim Farron since he's been elected.
Ignoring Tim Farron is a very...
easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's a good
by all accounts, he's a wonderful local MP.
I don't really care about him enough as a local MP to.
No, I mean he has never been and most likely will never be my local MP, so I don't particularly care about that. But yeah, he has annoying opinions on
back to Clinton.
On the gay thing.
Back to Clinton.
She
also was saying that she was trying to attack Sanders in the primary about healthcare, because I was trying to get healthcare in the 90s. So where was he then? The program that she was trying to get wasn't particularly good.
No, I mean it was an improvement.
It was an improvement on the American system, but the American system isn't a system, so it doesn't count. And then the next couple of hours, a video clip of a speech from the 90s on the bill that she was talking about emerged, and it's just her thanking Senator Sanders, who is stood behind her, for being such a help on trying to get healthcare for Americans.
So where was he in the 90s?
Where was he back then?
Right behind you.
Behind you, Hillary. He was literally 6 feet away from you. Okay, on that note of Hillary Clinton's forgetfulness, I think we'll end it off there, don't you think, Jack?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, we don't want it to run too long.
No. So thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of the Misled Youth Podcast. Very much the America special.
Yeah, the America special. That's probably going to be the name of this on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have been Jack.
And I have been Alex. Thank you for listening to the Misled Youth Podcast. We will talk to you again next week.
Bye for now.